Welcome to the second to last match of the first round. Today Mr. Turtle will be playing the Enter the Dracomancer deck, while we will be playing the random deck, which will be randomly selected right now. Let's find out what it is. And it's Sylvan Might, the mono-green elf deck, and we have a keeper. There's a turn 1 Thalit from our opponent. We play a turn 1 Copperhorn Scout. Our opponent offers a trade, but we don't accept, so go down to 19, and there's a Dragon Fodder. We play a Nissa's Chosen on turn 2, halting the attacks from the tokens. Our opponent passes a turn, and here we don't want to attack with the Chosen. Instead we play a Timberwatch Elf. And our opponent uses a Thermophic Expanse to get another mountain, plays a Swamp and casts Maelstrom Pulse on the Timberwatch Elf. On our turn we just play another Timberwatch Elf. Still don't attack with the Chosen because we don't want to trade it with 2 tokens. And our opponent has another Maelstrom Pulse for the Timberwatch Elf. Now that we have 4 mana available, we still decide to play out the Imperious Perfect, pumping our team so we can start attacking with our elves, and we offer the trade with the Copperhorn Scout for 2 tokens, and our opponent accepts. We get in for a couple damage. No play on turn 6, and on our turn we have a few options, and we attack first with the Chosen, get in for 3 damage, and then play our Vanguard, which gets a +1/+1 counter for every elf we play. End of turn we activate Imperious Perfect, making an 1/1 elf token that gets pumped by the Imperious Perfect. And here we play a Sylvan Messenger, which is going to reveal the top 4 cards of our library and put all elves revealed this way in our hand. We attack with everyone except the Imperious Perfect, and before damage happens we activate it to pump the Vanguard. Our opponent has still no plays. We attack with pretty much everyone, and that's enough to take the first game of the match. We don't have a good sideboard plan, as we would instantly lose to a dragon form from our opponent, as we don't have any answers for it. And we also have to try and play around Jund Charm that can deal 2 damage to all creatures, and try and play around Savage Twister, which is basically a sweeper. We mulligan our first hand, keep the second one, and we play our first Nissa's Chosen. Our opponent gets a Swamp, a Mountain, plays Dragon Fodder, and this time we can attack. Instead of playing another Nissa's Chosen, we just play a 2/2 for 2, playing around a Maelstrom Pulse. Our opponent casts a Cultivate, ramping and fixing his mana. We attack with both creatures, and our opponent accepts the trade with the 2/2. We play a Sylvan Messenger, getting us a bunch of elves. And here's a Spellbreaker Behemoth from our opponent. And that's gonna be a pretty big roadblock for our elves. So here we have a few decisions to make, but we end up casting Heedless One, so it'll get pumped by the elves we play next turn. And here's a Broodmother on turn 5 from our opponent, which is gonna be pretty hard to beat, as it makes a 1/1 Devour creature token every turn. We play our Essence Warden, and then we play a Timberwatch Elf, making our Heedless One a 5/5. And we are gonna attack with it, offering the trade with the 5/5, and their opponent accepts. The Broodmother makes another token, which devours the first one. Maelstrom Pulse takes out the Timberwatch Elf, and another Cultivate gives their opponent some more lands, and finally there's an attack from the Broodmother and a Thalit on the battlefield, which is gonna get sacrificed to another dragon token. We cast a Lead the Stampede, but accidentally don't take the cards in our hand, and play a Nissa's Chosen. We don't have any attacks, and the Dragon Broodmother keeps making tokens. An attack puts us down to 19, and another token appears. We drew a Magistrate, which is pretty good, but probably not good enough in this spot. A Giant token will devour all the previous tokens. An attack from Broodmother puts us down to 19, and a Twister for enough damage to wipe our board but leave his board intact. This time our Lethal Stampede does get us some creatures, but they are just small elves. What are they gonna do against these fearsome dragons? The answer is not a whole lot, as a Banefire will close out the second game, so it's one apiece and still no relevant sideboard plan. We mulligan our first hand, keep a second one that has a Sylvan Messenger in it, and we draw pretty well here. A turn 1 Thallid from our opponent attacks and puts us down to 19. A Nissa's Chosen on turn 2, and a Borderland Ranger from our opponent. No attacks. On our turn we decide to cast a Timberwatch Elf, and a Explosive Vegetation ramps our opponent for 2 lands. On our turn we decide to play a Sylvan Messenger, revealing 3 elves. An attack from the Nissa's Chosen gets chumped. Our opponent has a Broodmate Dragon, which makes a 4/4 flying dragon token. On our turn we decide to play out our Magistrate together with a Spire Tracer to try and get in some evasive damage. No attacks here, because we didn't want to trade our Messenger with the dragon token, but here a Cultivate and Dragon Fodder will clog up the board, making attacks difficult. On our turn we decide to play out a Well-Wisher and a Heedless One, and now we can attack as we have an active Magistrate and Timberwatch Elf. We decide to only attack with the Messenger and the Spire Tracer, as they have some form of evasion. We decide only to pump with the Magistrate, as an attack next turn will be enough and the Timberwatch could save us from a Twister, but there's a Tyrant which together with all the other dragons will be enough for the Enter the Dracomancer deck to steal a close second game, so it will win the match, and the random deck is unfortunately eliminated from the tournament, but Enter the Dracomancer will advance to the next round, where it will be facing the winner of Guardians of Light and Sliverhive. So join me next time to see which of those decks will be facing Enter the Dracomancer in the quarter-final match. But for now I want to thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a nice day.